Hello, history buffs and trivia lovers. Welcome to the internet rabbit hole where we unearth the most bizarre, head-scratching, did that actually happen? Moments from the past. That's right, today we're diving headfirst into 30 history nuggets so strange, so unbelievable, they'll make you question everything you thought you knew about the past. Because let's be honest, history class can be a bit dry. It's all dates, names, and the occasional plague outbreak. But trust me, history is so much weirder than any textbook will ever let on. We're talking about wars waged against birds, Viking happy hour rituals that'd make a frat boy blush, and Roman hygiene practices that would make even the most iron-stomached among us reach for the mouthwash. And no, I don't mean the urine-based kind. So buckle up because we're about to embark on a wild ride through the annals of history. Get ready to have your mind blown, your funny bone tickled, and your faith in humanity, well, let's just say slightly tested. This is 30 bizarre history nuggets that'll blow your mind. When you think about humanity's greatest adversaries, you probably don't think of emus. But in 1932, Australia did. 20,000 emus wreaked havoc on farmers' crops. The government sent in the army. Machine guns versus birds. Guess who won? Emus dodged bullets and scared soldiers. The result? A humiliating defeat for the army. The Great Emu War was a reminder. Sometimes the biggest threat is just a bunch of angry birds. Let's move on from the avian battlefield to the metal world of the Vikings. Vikings had a reputation: fierce warriors, skilled sailors, and unique tableware. They liked to recycle, drinking from enemy skulls. Sounds like a 12-year-old's tale, but true. Skulls of fallen enemies, chosen for historical significance. Intimidation and absorbing strength, more hardcore than a protein shake. Who are we to judge? Maybe good at insulating beverages. Puts a new spin on eat the rich. Welcome back to 30 bizarre history nuggets that'll blow your mind, or as it's known in ancient Rome, 30 bizarre history nuggets that'll freshen your breath. We're diving into ancient Roman hygiene, enough to make a modern germaphobe combust. They gargled with pee, yes, urine. Fresh breath meant a swig of something you'd pay to remove. Ammonia in urine was thought to whiten teeth. It also smelled like a frat party in a sewer. Next time you complain about spicy mouthwash, remember it could be worse. And on that note, let's move on, shall we? Welcome back to 30 bizarre history nuggets that'll blow your mind. This week, we're uncovering a truth so bizarre it'll make you question history. Napoleon Bonaparte, the man who conquered Europe, was defeated by bunnies. Yes, fluffy bunnies. Napoleon staged a rabbit hunt, but instead of fleeing, the rabbits charged. Napoleon fled in terror. The bunnies had won. Welcome back to 30 bizarre history nuggets that'll blow your mind. We're bending your perception of time like a pretzel in a black hole. Cleopatra was closer in time to the moon landing than the Great Pyramid. Yes, you heard that right. Hold on to your togas, people. Time is a fickle mistress. It's all relative, like Einstein said. Cleopatra's relativity is mind-boggling. Cleopatra died in 30 BC. The Great Pyramid was completed around 2560 BC. That's a difference of roughly 2,530 years. Neil Armstrong landed on the moon in 1969 AD. That's about 1,999 years after Cleopatra's death. Cleopatra was closer to the moon landing than the Great Pyramid. And now for a tale of truly staggering highs and lows. It's the story of eBay, synonymous with online auctions and Beanie Baby frenzies. The first item sold on eBay, a broken laser pointer, for $14.83. This sale sparked the online marketplace revolution. At least it wasn't a haunted toaster. All right, folks, buckle up because we're about to delve into the wacky world of papal decrees and feline foes. Back in the 13th century, Pope Gregory IX decided that cats were the embodiment of Satan. He believed cats were witches' familiars, conspiring with the devil. Pope Gregory IX issued a papal bull declaring war on cats. Cats across Europe were rounded up and massacred. Without cats, rat populations exploded, spreading the Black Plague. So the next time you see a cat, maybe give it a little salute. Ah, Benjamin Franklin, founding father, inventor, diplomat, and connoisseur of flatulence. He even proposed a pill to make farts smell pleasant. History is a wild ride, isn't it? And just when you thought 2023's political landscape couldn't get any weirder, we delve into ancient Rome, where the bar for political competence was buried in the Forum. Emperor Caligula, whose name translates to little boots, appointed his horse, Incitatus, to the Roman Senate. Now, I'm not a historian, but I'm pretty sure the founding fathers never envisioned Mr. Ed casting a vote. This equine appointment didn't go down well with the Roman elite, who found the idea of sharing power with a hay-munching quadruped undemocratic. We've all heard stories of wars that seem to drag on forever, but nothing compares to the absurdity of the 335 Years' War. That's right, you heard me correctly. This war lasted longer than the United States has existed. The belligerents were the Netherlands and the Isles of Scilly. You might be picturing centuries of bloody battles, but there were no casualties, not a single one. Historians speculate both sides simply forgot they were fighting. The war ended in 1986 with a politely worded treaty. Sometimes the best way to win a war is to simply outlive your opponent. The Victorian era, a time of industrial revolution and wearing live animals as fashion accessories. Yes, you heard that right. Victorians rocked live chameleons as adornments. Strapping a reptile to your lapel seems a tad excessive. Imagine the conversations. "Oh, darling, is that a new brooch? My word, it just changed color to match your dress." The sheer absurdity raises so many questions. The trend's sheer impracticality is perplexing. Chameleons blend into the background, defeating the purpose, truly a fashion choice for the ages. 1769, a simpler time. But you know what they did have? Car accidents. The very first time humanity cobbled together a horseless carriage, bang, someone crashed it. Hold my tankard of ale. Some things never change, do they? Julius Caesar, Emperor of Rome, conqueror of Gaul, and surprisingly kidnap victim. We all know Caesar had a bit of an ego, right? The man declared himself dictator for life. But even Caesar had his off days, like his encounter with pirates. Surrounded by scruffy pirates, they held him for ransom. They demanded 20 talents of silver. Caesar, insulted, countered with 50 talents. After being released, he hunted down the pirates and crucified them. Message clear: don't mess with Caesar. The Leaning Tower of Pisa, a masterpiece of medieval engineering, and also a complete accident. The tower's defining feature, the lean, was never part of the plan. Built on unstable soil, it began to lean during construction. For over 800 years. The lean makes it so iconic, a monument to human error, hilariously wrong. And you thought your country's political scene was a circus? Even Albert Einstein was offered a job in politics. In 1952, Israel asked Einstein to be president. Einstein politely declined. He claimed he lacked the natural aptitude and experience, a level of self-awareness rare in politics. Imagine if Einstein had said yes. We all know the Olympics, a glorious celebration of athleticism, national pride, and the human spirit's ability to achieve the seemingly impossible. But what if I told you that for 40 years, the Olympics also awarded medals for art? Yes, from 1912 to 1948, artists got to compete alongside athletes for Olympic glory. We're talking medals for architecture, sculpture, painting, literature, and even music. Sadly, the art competitions were eventually scrapped due to concerns about professionalism. World War I was a truly horrific conflict filled with mustard gas and trench warfare. But amidst all that darkness, there were moments of incredible ingenuity. Case in point, the fake Paris built by the French to fool German bombers. They built a replica Paris a few miles outside the real city. Fake buildings, streets, even a replica Champs-Élysées all lit up at night. German pilots, fooled by this ruse, spared countless Parisian lives. It's a testament to human creativity, even in the darkest times. And just when you thought it was safe to put on your tinfoil hats, ironically, we arrive at Project Blue Book. From 1952 to 1969, the United States Air Force investigated UFOs. Over 12,000 sightings were checked, mostly weather phenomena or hoaxes, but a few hundred remained unidentified. Somewhere, buried deep in government files, there might be a report that reads, "It was definitely aliens, but please don't tell anyone because we're all terrified." Australia, land of venomous creatures and a prime minister swallowing sea. In 1967, Prime Minister Harold Holt went for a swim at Cheviot Beach, known for its treacherous currents. A massive search ensued, but no trace of Harold was found. The official conclusion? Accidental drowning. Some suggest something more sinister. All we have left are questions and conspiracy theories. Hold on to your bloomers, folks, because we're about to shatter some gender norms. These days, we associate the color pink with all things delicate and feminine. But back in the day, pink was the color of choice for baby boys. Yes, you heard that right. Pink was once considered a strong, virile color, fit for a future king. One theory suggests that since red was associated with war, pink was seen as a toned-down version suitable for baby boys. Girls were often dressed in blue, associated with the Virgin Mary. It wasn't until the mid-20th century that marketing flipped this association. So the next time you see a man wearing pink, he's just embracing a historical truth. You might think the history of animation belongs solely to Disney, but hold on to your Mickey Mouse ears, because we're about to shatter that illusion. Turns out, the very first animated feature film, clocking in at a whopping 70 minutes, wasn't some whimsical tale from the Magic Kingdom. No, it came from Argentina in 1917, and it was a political satire called El Apostol. That's right, Argentina beat Disney to the punch by almost a decade with a film that skewered the then president of Argentina. Imagine Snow White, but instead of singing to dwarfs, she's throwing shade at corrupt politicians. Sadly, no copies of El Apostol are known to exist. It's believed the only known copy was destroyed in a fire. A fire, you say? Sounds awfully convenient. Almost like someone didn't want the truth about Argentina's animation dominance to get out. So, next time you're enjoying the latest Pixar masterpiece, take a moment to remember Argentina, the unsung hero, the OG animator, who, much like a retired matador, can look back on its career with a knowing wink and whisper, "I invented that." World War II, a global conflict that officially ended in 1945. Everyone got the memo, right? Well, almost everyone. Deep in the jungles of the Philippines, a Japanese soldier named Hiroo Onoda was just getting started. Onoda was given a very specific order: never surrender. For 29 years, Onoda continued waging his own private war. It wasn't until 1974 that Onoda finally laid down his arms. Hiroo Onoda's story is a mix of dedication, tragedy, and stubbornness. The 1983 video game crash. A nosedive so spectacular it makes the Hindenburg disaster look minor. At the heart of this digital apocalypse, E.T. the Extraterrestrial. Imagine a pixelated fever dream where E.T. falls into holes. Confusing, frustrating, and about as fun as a root canal. Atari produced millions of cartridges, but the game flopped. Legend has it they buried these in a New Mexico landfill. A cautionary tale reminding us that even beloved franchises can fail. We humans like to think we have a good handle on democracy. Take Talkeetna, Alaska. In 1997, they elected a cat named Stubbs as mayor. Stubbs took his duties seriously. For nearly 2 decades, he presided with quiet authority. The Banana Wars. A conflict so absurd it sounds like a fever dream. But no, my friends, the Banana Wars were very real, involving international intrigue and corporate greed. From the late 19th to early 20th century, the U.S. had a vested interest in Latin America's banana trade. These weren't just any bananas. They were controlled by powerful corporations like the United Fruit Company. With the help of the U.S. military, these companies would topple regimes and install puppet dictators, all for bananas. The whole thing was a morally ambiguous mess, leaving a bad taste in everyone's mouth. Now, I know what you're thinking. A beer flood? That sounds like the best-case scenario for a natural disaster. But the reality, my friends, was far less whimsical. On October 16, 1814, a giant vat containing over 200,000 gallons of fermenting porter burst open at the Mew and Company Brewery in London. This was a tsunami of beer, a frothy tidal wave that ripped through buildings, flooded streets, and wreaked havoc on the St. Giles neighborhood. The aftermath was a logistical and olfactory nightmare. The brewery itself was nearly ruined, and the event went down in history as a stark reminder of beer's destructive power. And you thought your dating life was like a bad spy film. This next bizarre history nugget is about the time the CIA tried to assassinate Fidel Castro with an exploding cigar. Yes, you heard that right. Exploding. Cigar. You see, apparently someone in the CIA must have thought they were pitching a James Bond film, and not, attempting to orchestrate an international incident. Now, we've all heard the phrase death by chocolate, but death by cigar? That's a new one. I mean, how do you even begin to approach that conversation? Mr. Castro, we were hoping you might enjoy this fine Cuban cigar. Oh, and by the way, it's rigged to detonate the moment you light it. Cheers! It's like Wile E. Coyote decided to get into international espionage and ordered his supplies from the Acme Corporation. Look, I get it. Castro was a controversial figure. But you'd think the CIA could come up with a plan slightly more sophisticated than a novelty shop gag. But hey, at least it wasn't an exploding rum and coke, right? We'll get to America's soft spot for banana republics later. Moving on from one questionable historical decision to another, let's talk about the Black Death. You know, that delightful little plague that wiped out a third of Europe's population? Turns out, while they were busy dropping like flies, medieval Europeans thought they could fart their way out of it. Yes, folks, you heard me correctly. Farts. Now I know what you're thinking. John, surely you're exaggerating for comedic effect. And normally, you'd be right to question me. But unfortunately, this time, the truth is just as ridiculous as it sounds. Apparently, the prevailing medical theory at the time was that bad smells, like those emanating from, shall we say, one's derriere, were the root cause of the plague. So, naturally, the solution was to counter those bad smells with, well, other smells. And what better way to do that than by letting loose with a symphony of bottom burps? Look, I'm no doctor, but even I can tell you that weaponizing flatulence is not a viable public health strategy, though it does make you wonder if maybe those plague masks weren't such a bad idea after all. And just when you thought ancient Egyptians couldn't get any more fascinating, turns out those crafty Egyptians invented the vending machine. Yes, you heard that right. They were slinging snacks out of automated machines centuries ago. These weren't exactly state-of-the-art, basic contraptions designed to dispense holy water inside temples. The concept remains the same. You put something in, you get something out. Let's talk about a time when the Cold War almost became very, very hot. Imagine this. It's the 1950s, tensions are high, and the fate of the world hangs in the balance. The United States almost accidentally nuked itself. A series of unfortunate events almost led to an American city being vaporized. Miscommunications, faulty equipment, and finger-pointing were rampant. So, next time you're stressed, remember, at least you didn't almost start a nuclear apocalypse. And there you have it, 30 historical facts that sound more like fiction. From ancient Egyptian vending machines to near-nuclear apocalypses, we've journeyed through the bizarre, the unbelievable, and the downright hilarious side of history. Which fact surprised you the most? Was it the emus waging war on Australia? The Romans using urine as mouthwash? Or maybe the time the US almost nuked itself? Drop a comment below and let us know. Remember, history isn't always as dull as it seems in school. Stay curious and see you in the next video.